declared Ethiopia's urgent need for direct access to the Red Sea, framing it as a matter of national survival and development, not a call to arms, but a call for fairness and opportunity. This was not just a political statement. It was a vision for the future of Ethiopia. Abiy's words reignited old debates, forcing regional and global powers to pay close attention. The international community was abuzz, with analysts and diplomats weighing in on the potential implications. He invoked historical justice, proposing dialogue and economic partnership, while making clear Ethiopia would no longer accept its landlocked status as permanent. This bold stance was both a challenge and an invitation to neighboring countries. The speech has unsettled neighbors, especially Eritrea and Djibouti, and challenged the fragile peace in the region. The stakes were high and the reactions were mixed. Abiy's dual message, asserting a right while advocating peace, has created a complex diplomatic puzzle. It was a delicate balance of asserting national interests while promoting regional stability. The world is now watching to see if this bold ambition will build bridges or spark new rivalries. The media coverage has been extensive, with headlines around the globe focusing on Ethiopia's next moves. The coming months will determine whether Ethiopia's move leads to regional integration or renewed conflict. The future of the Horn of Africa hangs in the balance, and the world is holding its breath. To understand Abiy's declaration, we must revisit 1993, when Eritrea's independence left Ethiopia suddenly landlocked. This geopolitical shift was not just a matter of losing territory. It fundamentally altered Ethiopia's economic and strategic landscape. The loss of ports like Assab and Massawa was a strategic and psychological blow, cutting Ethiopia off from the sea overnight. These ports had been vital arteries for trade and commerce, and their loss was felt deeply across the nation. Initial cooperation soon gave way to war, sealing the border and cementing Ethiopia's dependence on others for trade. The conflict not only strained relations, but also entrenched a sense of isolation and economic vulnerability. The sense of injustice and vulnerability has lingered for decades, fueling a persistent national desire to regain sea access. This longing has been a recurring theme in Ethiopian politics and public discourse. Abiy's speech tapped into this sentiment, questioning the legitimacy of the process that left Ethiopia landlocked. His words resonated deeply with many Ethiopians who have long felt the sting of this historical grievance. He reframed the issue as unresolved, reigniting debate and signaling that regaining access is back on the national agenda. This move has sparked renewed hope and a sense of urgency among the populace. For many Ethiopians, this is about correcting a historical wrong and reclaiming a lost destiny. It's a matter of national pride and a vision for a more self-reliant future. The legacy of 1993 continues to shape Ethiopia's ambitions and its risks. As the nation looks forward, the echoes of the past remain a powerful force in its quest for a brighter future. With Eritrea's border closed, Ethiopia turned to Djibouti, making it the near-exclusive gateway for its trade. Today, 95% of Ethiopia's imports and exports pass through Djibouti, costing over $1 billion annually in fees. This dependence is a strategic vulnerability. Any disruption could cripple Ethiopia's economy. For a nation of 120 million, relying on a single corridor is untenable. Abiy argues that no responsible government can accept such risk, framing the quest for alternative sea access as essential for national security. The relationship with Djibouti, while necessary, is seen as a straitjacket Ethiopia must escape. Diversifying access is not aggression, but a rational move to secure Ethiopia's future. Abiy's message is clear. For Ethiopia, gaining access to the sea is not just a matter of convenience or economic growth, but a fundamental question of national survival. The country's landlocked status since the independence of Eritrea in 1993 has shaped its destiny and limited its potential. For Abiy, this is an existential challenge that cannot be ignored or postponed. He insists that the nation's very survival and future prosperity depend on securing reliable access to the sea, elevating the issue to a core national interest that unites all Ethiopians, regardless of background. The stakes are high. Without a port, Ethiopia's economic ambitions and regional influence remain constrained. Abiy stresses dialogue, not war, as the path forward. He proposes creative solutions, such as leasing a port, forming joint ventures with neighbors, or even offering stakes in Ethiopian enterprises in exchange for access to vital maritime gateways. He specifically mentions Eritrean ports and even Port Sudan, signaling Ethiopia's openness to working with multiple partners and exploring all possible avenues for cooperation. The approach is firm yet diplomatic. Ethiopia's need for sea access is non-negotiable, but the method of achieving it is open for discussion and compromise. Abiy positions Ethiopia as a determined but reasonable actor, seeking genuine partnership and mutual benefit, not conquest or domination. Ultimately, the success of this strategy will depend on whether Ethiopia's neighbors trust Abiy's peaceful intentions and are willing to cooperate for the region's shared future. Inside Ethiopia, Abiy's speech sparked intense debate. Supporters hailed it as visionary and overdue, a reclaiming of Ethiopia's rightful place in the region. Critics warned it could inflame tensions and distract from urgent internal priorities like recovery and stability. On the streets and online, most Ethiopians support the goal of sea access, seeing it as both a matter of pride and economic necessity. However, there's little appetite for war. The public demands a peaceful, diplomatic solution. The dominant call is for negotiation and respect for neighbors' sovereignty. Abiy faces pressure to deliver results without risking conflict. Ethiopians want the sea, but not at any cost. Eritrea's response was swift and firm. President Isaias Afwerki rejected any suggestion of revisiting borders or ceding port sovereignty, emphasizing that the Red Sea is for coastal states to manage. Eritrea might consider commercial transit deals, but permanent Ethiopian control is a non-starter. Relations between the two countries have soured, making any grand bargain unlikely. Eritrea views Ethiopia's renewed push with suspicion, fearing it could mask future aggression. Abiy's overture, intended as partnership, is seen in Asmara as a challenge to Eritrean security. Djibouti, whose economy relies on Ethiopian trade, is anxious about losing its near monopoly if Ethiopia secures alternative access. Officially, Djibouti calls for calm and highlights its strong partnership, but is quietly reassessing its position. Somalia faces its own challenges. Abiy's ambitions revive fears of deals with breakaway regions like Somaliland, threatening Somalia's fragile unity. Mogadishu insists any port agreement must go through the federal government, not regional administrations. Both Djibouti and Somalia are wary, hoping Ethiopia's quest won't destabilize the region. The stakes for sovereignty and stability are high. The Red Sea is a global crossroads, with major powers like the US, China, and Gulf states deeply invested in its stability. Ethiopia's push for sea access is unfolding amid intense international competition, with military bases and economic interests crowding the coastline. Any deal Ethiopia strikes will be scrutinized by these powers, who may see it as a threat to their own interests. Abiy's call for international mediation reflects the need to navigate this complex landscape. Securing access will require not just regional, but global buy-in. The risk: Ethiopia's ambition could become a proxy battleground for rival powers. The Horn of Africa now stands at a crossroads. Ethiopia's ambition could spark unprecedented cooperation and prosperity if handled with transparency and respect. A grand bargain could transform the region, turning rivals into partners. But mistrust and historical grievances run deep. Abiy's rhetoric could just as easily harden positions and provoke conflict. The path forward demands extraordinary statesmanship and a commitment to dialogue. The world watches to see if Ethiopia's bold move